Is there a way where we can say and encourage someone who has a $50 million net worth to lend or to sell an asset, or a $10 million or a $1 million net worth, whatever it was? How do we incentivize, so in case this happens again, we want the people to be able to lend more and be tax incentivized to do that?
You know, in the beginning, about 30 days ago when I started deep diving into this, I'm sure I had the same question that a lot of your clients have, like, wow, this sounds too good to be true. Like, is it legal? And, I've heard you say that it's based on federal IRS code 453. Can you tell me a little bit about that code, how that works and how you utilize it?
Yeah, good question. So 453, let me take a step back too. So there's codes that we're very familiar with that you may not be aware of. There's IRS code, basically 401k, right? That's a code that most of us know towards retirement, right? Where we can put money in and we can defer, income and capital gains tax until a certain period of time. And there's a minimum required distribution. And this is for employers to incentivize their employees to apply into this plan, right? And this plan helps you to defer tax, right? So we know that. We also know IRAs typically, right? IRAs. We know Roth IRAs, right? These are all part of the tax code. Now, there's also one called the 1031 exchange. That's one that most of the real estate investors know about. And then there's IRC 453, which most people may or may not know about it. They more know about it as a seller carryback. But giving some history on this 453, if you go all the way back to like the Great Depression, if you remember, or if you look in the history books, what happened was these banks seized up, right? Capital seized up, the stock market crashed, and basically there was no real capital to lend, and no one can get money. In a lot of businesses, the whole economy came to a crashing halt, right? And as a part of that, they looked at ways to incentivize the economy without requiring government to be a part of it. In other words, they said, is there a way where we can say and encourage someone who has a $50 million net worth to lend or to sell an asset, or a $10 million or a $1 million net worth, whatever it was? How do we incentivize, so in case this happens again, we want the people to be able to lend more and be tax incentivized to do that? Well, the government can't force commerce. They can't force us to sell properties or businesses. And so they say, but we can tax incentivize them to do it. And so 453 is based upon that premise that should the market and should banks stop lending, that it wouldn't completely stop the economy, because us as the people can lend on our equity while deferring the tax. And this is also why we believe the structure and the foundation is rock solid, right? Because it's the foundation, perhaps, of the of the American, economy, in case things go sour again, right? Which it could very well be where we're at. We're with a lot of uncertainty going on right now, right? So that's a little bit of the history. But long story short, you can look up IRC 453, and you can Google search that IRC code 453. And it's simply going to tell you, the legal aspect of it and what it's all about. Some things to really keep in mind, that you want to make sure you understand your basis is, your adjusted basis, your debt. There's different rules about this. 453 also has a rule where if you're married, 10 million per year is what you can basically defer in a given calendar year. If you're single, it's 5 million, and above and beyond that, there's an interest charge. Okay. Now we have another structure that's outside of 453 that there's no limit and no interest charge. It can be $1 billion deal. But that's really it. It's basically a rule that allows you to defer capital gains taxes and pay taxes over time, that the government has incentivized us to do, so more transactions would move.